flash off. Oh, I'm getting soaked. Whee! All right, you got a bit wet there. Salt water is not something you want to get on your cameras. So I'm going to wash that off now with some of my drinking water. Now this should be fine. Shouldn't be a problem at all. So I've just got all that salt water off, because that will perish any seals, or certainly will perish the camera. I'm sure it will. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Recently, you guys know I've been featuring some point and shoots that I've come across, and today I'm going to be featuring this Konica Genba Kantoku camera from 2001. I'll tell you a little bit about the camera. I'm going to shoot the camera today. I'm doing some work over this way today, so I've also brought out a Nikon FM3A with a 35mm lens for a few scapey shots. I'm over a place called Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight, so it's quite a boaty place, and there's lots of scope over here for photography. I'm over here to get some photographs of some of the scenery and some of the boats, but I thought I'd bring this little bad boy with me and show you guys this little point and shoot camera, which is pretty much bulletproof, or as my mate called it, Roger proof. And I've done a whole blog on this camera with the photographs that I've taken. I'm going to add the photographs from today on the blog as well. So if you want to read up more about the camera, go onto the SFLaB website. There's a blog on there all about this camera and all the information I've researched. And recently it was my birthday, and in the mail I got this camera from a good friend of mine. And prior to that I sent him a gift as well. So mate, if you're watching, challenge is on. So a quick overview of this camera. It's a 35mm point and shoot. It's otherwise known as a 28WB, which I believe stands for wide boy. It's a robust camera, and these were first produced by Konica back in 88, 89, and they was supposed to be for construction sites, builders, people in that, architects that are in that dusty, dirty, filthy environment, clumsy people maybe. Oh, bloody hell. So Konica built this camera for those sort of people to go around taking pictures, and they made it pretty much indestructible. As you can see, it's built like a brick house. It's dust proof, it's weatherproof. I'm not sure if it's waterproof. I'm not sure if I drop this in the lake over there for a few minutes submerged within a foot of water, if it would last. It says it would, because it's grade 7, which means you can drop this thing, submerge it in a couple of feet of water for about a few minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and it will come out okay. So they built this thing to last. You can shoot this camera in the pouring down rain and nothing's going to happen. It's a shame the tide's out. I can't get closer to the water's edge. It's far too muddy, just as that sign says, but I think I can lock the focus in. So by focusing on the sign and then pulling that sign to the left, I don't know if that locked in or not. I'll soon see. I've got to be very careful, this is very slippery. I don't want to go arse over. It's all right though, the camera will be fine. Even though this is indestructible, it'll be fine if I dropped it in any of this. I don't want to get it dirty, what's the point of that? So this camera was focused at those sort of people that needed to get photographs on building sites, construction sites of the, the plans and whatever's going on, maybe the footings of something. And if it was peeing down with rain, or if they dropped the camera in a dirty, muddy puddle or something like that, it wasn't going to ruin the camera. It would just keep going and going. The camera is fully automatic. You can't change the aperture, you can't change the shutter speeds. There's no exposure compensation dial in it either. And there's no zone focusing or anything like that. It is totally point and shoot. And when you think of the guys that would have used this camera, or what it was meant for, its purpose back in the day, which for, as I said, site supervisors, builders, they're not photographers, they just want to point and shoot. And this is what Konica gave them. The lens is a 28mm lens, ideal for that sort of environment. f3.5, and the shutter speeds go from 1/4 of a second all the way to 1/280th of a second, which is a little bit of a strange calculation there. So you literally haven't got a clue what aperture or shutter speed it's shooting, but on a day like today with this 80 speed film, I should imagine it's sort of around a sunny 16 mark, and it's a DX coded camera as well, so you've got speeds from 25 ISO to 3200 ISO, but you do need a DX coded film for it to read what speed you want to shoot. You can't change the speeds manually. I made that mistake the other day. I went out with a roll of Leica Mono 50 and it hasn't got DX coding on the cassette. I didn't realise until I pulled the film out and loaded it into the camera when I was on location. So I had to shoot 25 ISO all day long, which isn't so bad. It's a 50 ISO film, so I was only overexposing by a stop. And the pictures came out quite nice. So it's quite a fun camera to shoot. On the front you've got these two little windows here. I believe they're for the infrared autofocus. You've got two little circular windows, which I believe is for the auto exposure. Obviously you've got your viewfinder here and you've got your flash there. It's very compact, and just to protect the lens they've put this glass sort of screwed in place over the top of the lens just to protect it. I should imagine, no doubt, maybe back then if you broke that you could have got a replacement, because they're only sort of normal kind of Phillips screws on there that you could take off and place on another one, a little bit like the action cameras. You've also got a little tiny red LED as well for your self timer. That goes on for 10 seconds unless you've got the remote control. If you use the remote control with it, yes, there is a remote control for it, it lasts for 3 seconds. I think the idea of the remote control is if I was in here now and wanted to get a shot high up and a series of shots, I'd set the camera up there, and every 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, I can come back and press the remote control, and hopefully it's got enough reach to take the photographs, to reach the camera to get the photographs in. And you have got a little tiny, there's a screw thread at the bottom there for your tripod plate to sit on. And I also believe they did these in other colours as well. I don't know what colours they were, greens and yellows probably. Also with this camera I'm looking forward to doing some beach shots where I can literally go into the water, obviously not today, but when I can go into the water and just get above the water's edge, you know, maybe get some kayakers or something like that, and maybe get some rogue waves coming in as well. It might look quite nice. So you know, that's another thing that I'm looking forward to other than rainy days. I'm half tempted to just let it get a bit of water over it and see what happens. I'm going to try it. I mean, what's the point in having a camera that says it's waterproof if it ain't waterproof? We'll try and get low down. Whoa, I'm getting more bloody wet than the camera. I don't want to submerge the camera, obviously. I don't mind a splash on it, but I don't want to submerge it. But I'm sure it would be fine if I did. But if a rogue wave was to come over now and take me out, the camera would be fine, I think. Flash off. Oh, I'm getting soaked. Whee! All right, you got a bit wet there. You've got a little tiny screen here, and you've got modes. You can use the flash. You could have the flash on or off or in auto mode, and you've also got you can lock the camera to infinite focus. So example, if I'm taking a picture of the background there and this camera's in the way, it's going to focus on the camera, but if I set it to infinite, it won't focus on the camera, it will focus on the background. So I'm going to get a picture of this bench here. I'm going to get close. I just did one on the FM3A. Let's do one on here. We'll focus on the bench. Okay, we're focusing on the bench, and then we'll choose infinity focus so it focuses away from the bench and in the background. See what the difference is. I'm on number 9, frame number 9. It does take a strange battery. I think it's a CR123A battery, which you can still get online, but they're not so common in supermarkets and shopping centres and what have you. I had to get mine from an electronics shop. And inside the viewfinder, you've got the grid lines as usual, and you've also got parallax correction as well, because there's the viewfinder, there's the lens. So anything close, you've got a little tiny markings inside where you can compose your photographs for any close-up work. I think the closest distance is about 1.5 feet, was about half a metre. So the closest distance, it reckons about half a metre. So I'm going to do a couple of shots on this linkage here. Make sure I'm not on the mountain mode. Okay, auto mode. So I'll do a couple of shots on this linkage. See how, turn my cap round, see how closer we can get. This is about 1.5 feet away. and I'm focusing right on that linkage. I'll come about half a metre away now, take the same shot. Now I'll come back and get the whole back of the boat in. And some models do have a macro mode, and some models do also have a exposure compensation mode for +2 stops of exposure compensation for backlit subjects, but this doesn't have that. So if I want to do backlit subjects, I'll have to force the flash on, and it works really well actually, the flash. They've also got a little button there, so when you've got your film loaded, just say for example you're taking 10 photographs and that's all you've taken and you need to get them photographs developed, you press that little button at the top and it will rewind the film back into the canister for you. It's auto rewind, so once you finish the film it will rewind all the way back. You've got no control over that at all, which is a shame, because if I only want to shoot 10 exposures today and cut the film out the camera and develop that and then save the rest for another day, I can't. The clutch mechanism is locked. So if I open the back in the dark and try and pull out my film, it won't pull at all. I have to press the little tiny button there while the back door's closed. And as it starts rewinding, just quickly open the back door and it stops rewinding, and then it releases the clutch. I can pull the film out. It's a little bit fiddly. I'll put all this in my blog, guys, if you want to know a little bit more about it. So I'll get off now to another location, and I'll show you guys the photographs that I got from this camera. Get it home, develop. I'll develop this in that green developer I was talking about the other week. I've been playing again with that with different films. So with this Ortho 80, I'll be developing it in the green developer, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the results. It's only the third time that I've shot the camera, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they've come out this time round around Yarmouth quaysides. So I've shot 30 frames. I've noticed that this camera's been giving me 37 frames, but so I've got about 7 frames in there. I'm not going to bother taking them. I'm just going to rewind the film back, but it won't rewind back unless I've shot all the whole roll. So I'll have to press this little button, and there it starts rewinding back all the way into the film canister. Done. And I've also showered. Also put the camera in the shower just to get all that salt water off. Looks like it survived. Let's get the film out of the camera, and there you go. You can see it rewinds it all the way back inside the film canister. But I want to retrieve that. I'll show you how I do it. So because I want to use this cassette for my bulk roll films, I want the leader to come out so I don't have to break the cassette open. So what I'm going to do is take this piece of old film, I'm going to lick or wet all this area, shove it in there and pull the film out. I'll show you. So the end of the film is wet, that should stick or adhere to the film that's inside there, the leader. Might take a few turns or a few attempts. There you go, first attempt, straight out. Just a wet piece of old film. And there it is. Now I can reuse this canister for my bulk loading. So I've been doing some tests with Ortho 80 and this developer, and I think I found the right time that suits me. I'm having to put it in here because I need 4 millilitres and I can't get the syringe inside the bottle. So I have to put it inside this little canister here so I can get my 4 millilitres out, and I can put the rest back in the bottle. 4 millilitres. I did think it really needed 5, but my results came out better with just 4 millilitres in my rotary processor with 250 ml of water. Give that a good stir. It's quite gloopy, this stuff, so even more gloopy than 510 Pyro, kind of like Kodak HC110 gloopy. In it goes into the rotary processor, and then that will just do its thing for 5.5 minutes. Stop, fix, and we'll have a look at the results. So the development was a success and the negatives came out looking really nice. Bags of tonality, nice and sharp, so I was really happy with those, and also the scans as well. And what a lovely camera this is. I did take it to the farm the other day and I used the fill-in flash on some donkeys because they were dark, and it did a fantastic job at getting the exposure right. And being a 28mm lens is perfect for street photography for me. I like that focal length for my street photography, and also architectural stuff, and also scapes similar to what I've shown you in this video. And the lens is razor sharp as well, with hardly any distortion, or at least I didn't see any. And I must admit, I'm really looking forward to taking this camera out on those rainy days to do some street photography. Up until now, I'm always a little bit dubious about doing that. I'll put a sandwich bag over my camera and over the lens and go out, and it gets a little bit tricky. So with this being waterproof, I'm really looking forward to doing some of that, and also some beach stuff as well. You know, like I said earlier on in the video, when the waves are coming over and I don't worry about getting the camera splashed or filled with sand. It should be able to withstand all that. But I'm really not sure though if it could withstand being dropped in a puddle or submerged in water for any period of time. Splashes from the shower and stuff, no problem at all. But being submerged, this camera's 25 years old. Are those seals still up to the job? I don't know, and I don't think I'd want to risk it either. And looking at those eBay listings that I showed earlier on in the video, they ain't a bad price either for a camera that you just throw in your car and you can just pull out in any sort of elements or conditions and take photographs. So I've got to say a massive thanks to my mate for sending me this for my birthday, and also thanks to you guys for watching this video. If you want to see more about this camera, I did write a whole blog, and these photographs from this video will be on there as well. So if you're interested in a little bit more information about this camera, it's all stuff that I've had to swat up and read. I've written it down in a blog, and I've put the pictures from this video in there for you to see as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks very much to Patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, and I'll catch you next time. What?